Well, good morning, everybody. We're starting a little bit late. I am quite disappointed. I had my green screen all ready to go. I had my background I was going to use. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I just couldn't get it to work. So I called my technical hubby who helps me with all of this stuff, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. So I'm sorry to say I'm not going to be using the green screen today. I'm so sad. I had a beautiful scene video from my back deck of Pikes Peak. So hopefully we'll be able to use it next week. I'm just so disappointed. I had it all ready to go, and so then I had to take my green screen down, and I can't figure out what happened. It was the weirdest thing. It was working, and then I left the room for a couple minutes and it stopped working. I let my computer go to sleep. And so, sorry to say, we're not going to have that green screen fun this week. But that just gives you some anticipation for next week. And we're not going to get upset or depressed. We're just going to keep right on moving along, right? So, I've got a lot of fun things to talk to you today about. I got a question or two to answer. I got a new yarn and some new crochet patterns and videos to tell you about. So good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and clink in. Clink. Isn't this a cute cup? I got this probably 5 or 6 years ago from a company, I think it was called the Twisted Pearl. I had ordered some hand-dyed yarns from them, and they included this beautiful cup. They'd stuffed one of the hanks, or shanks, is it hanks? Yeah, down inside, and this is the cup that they sent me. Isn't it cute? They had put the yarn ball on there and had the yarn, twirl all around. So, clinkety clink clink. Oh, again, I'm just so disappointed about that green screen, but we're not going to keep talking about it. All right, let's get right into saying hello to everybody. I probably missed a bunch of you. Let's see. Karen and Paula and Tina and Melissa, Dawn and Vicky and Susan and Tammy, Dana, Lucy, Mary, Rita, Tina Louise, Sarah, Angela, Lisa, Mary, Rebecca, Teresa, Cheryl, Carol, Stacy, Vicky, Sinead. Let's see if I got most of you. Angela, Susan. There's Lisa. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. If you missed the beginning, I know I promised you a fun green screen effect today, but when I got ready to get started, for some reason it just pooped out on me. So we're going to still have a good day, okay? And we're still going to have a good time. Now, before we get started, I want to answer, or not really answer a question, but give you some tips. This is the time of year when everybody's doing a lot of craft sales. And I get questions all the time about what sells, what can I do to make my craft sale a success? And although I haven't done any in a few years, I used to do them quite a bit. And so I've got some hints and tips here to help you have a successful craft show or craft sale. All right. And these are things that I learned as I was doing them before, for myself. And most of the craft fairs that I was involved in were for crochet items, okay? Items that I made that were crochet. But these tips are great if you sew or knit or make other kinds of crafts. These tips are great tips, okay? So the first thing to keep in mind when you're getting ready and making plans for your craft sale is to think seasonal. And what I mean by that is to make things that are in the seasonal colors. For instance, and also seasonal things. For instance, let's just think about hats. If you're going to have a craft sale in the spring, don't make a bunch of thick knit hats or crochet hats because people aren't thinking winter in the spring. But if you're making hats now and you're having a craft sale now, it's a good time to make some hats. So you need to keep that in mind. Another thing is colors. If you're making, say, sun hats, I don't recommend making them in dark colors because the sun absorbs into those dark colors. But if you're making, say, things around harvest time or fall, think fall colors. Make things in rusts and greens and yellows and golds, things that remind you of fall or fall leaves. And so you keep those things in mind. If you're doing a Christmas or holiday craft sale, make things that are red and green or bright purples and things that remind you of the Christmas season. Maybe things that are like colors of Frozen, like blues and whites. And so keep those things in mind. Be seasonal. Know what's going on that time of year. All right. Another thing that I learned is if you're doing craft sales and events at schools, and a lot of us have done those. I did quite a few of them at different elementary and middle schools. And one thing that sold really well is things made in school colors. And also favorite teams around their school colors. Now keep in mind, you cannot do emblems and reproductions of copyright team emblems. So you don't want to get yourself in trouble with that. But if you ask your schools, for instance, when I was growing up, the high school that I went to, we had the Bulldogs and our colors were blue and gold. Well, if you ask the school, is it okay if I add a little bulldog on there? They would probably say that's okay. Or maybe allow you and show you where you can order some patches to put on those things. And some things that sold really well in school colors. And teenagers, kids, they love to have things in their school colors. And some things that I made in crochet when I was doing them that sold really well were fingerless gloves, headbands striped in school colors or ear warmers that were in school colors, and dog bandanas. Kids love to have dog bandanas in their school colors. Another thing was hair bows, and a lot of like the drill teams and the flag teams and cheerleaders love to have the hair bows in their school colors. And a couple of other things is water bottle cozies in school colors because they like to take their water bottles with them. Okay, and when it comes to hats, scarves, and cowls, your best bet is to go simple and striped. Most teenagers and kids that are at the age where they're wearing these things, they don't want great big bows or flowers or any of those kinds of things. They really just like beanies and headbands and scarves and cowls that are striped in their colors. And so that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're whipping up things that you want to make a bunch of. Get those school colors and you can make a lot of different type things because they love to get a headband and ear warmer set that matches in their school colors. So keep that in mind as well. Another thing to keep in mind is price point. It's okay to have a few things that are expensive, like maybe some shawls or, things, some more decorative things that are a little more expensive. But it's a good idea to keep your price point just a little bit lower. This is just what worked well for me. Now remember, this is just my opinion and what worked well for me, okay? But what I did is the things that sold the most were between $10 to $15 price points, okay? And that just means within that range because a lot of what you're selling is to parents of kids in schools that don't have a lot of money because kids involved in sports and activities is very expensive. And also, if you have doing this at an elementary school, I really suggest that you have a good group of things that are about $5. And the reason is a lot of the kids love to participate in their school craft sales and love to buy things from their school craft sales. And so it's good to have things that are around the $5 price point so that they can afford those things. Because you're talking about elementary and junior high kids that, don't have a lot of money. I guess I should say middle school kids. All right. And some good things that you can get at about a $5 price point are when you crochet the beaded bracelets and necklaces. And again, school colors are a big one there, but also favorite colors, colors that are popular. All right. Another thing is the hair scrunchies. They're super popular again. And even back then, I sold a bunch of them that were in school colors. But also the velvet ones and putting beads on them, those sell really good for around $5 a piece. All right. And so just you got to kind of think. And if you have kids that age, ask them, what are the colors kids are wearing and what's going on? Do people wear scrunchies, and things like that. But it's excellent. And if you want to sell a lot, to have some lower price points. Yes, it's fantastic to have higher price points. But don't have a whole lot of that kind of stuff, just a few things. And the other thing is be ready for orders, because if you sell a lot of those things, you want to have a business card that people can take and they can order from you later at those same price points, okay? Another thing that I learned early on, because I used to make big tables full of stuff, and what I learned early on is not to put everything out on your table. And the reason is if you add too much stuff on your table in great big piles, it kind of gives the appearance of a garage sale. And it's not that it's messy, it's just there's a lot of stuff. And it can be overwhelming, especially for kids and young kids that are participating, but also adults. And what happens is they get this idea that you have a whole bunch of stuff and they're looking for a bargain because it looks like a garage sale. And you don't want them to pay garage sale prices. You want them to understand that these are one-of-a-kind art projects, and this is the only place they can find these things. They're handmade, and so you don't want to give them garage sale prices. It's okay if they talk you down a little in price, a little bit. Like say, I don't know, you've got 5 bracelets and they want all of them for $2. That's too cheap. But you can always go down a little if you want to, especially towards the end of the sale, the end of the day. That's when you can mark things down. Just make sure you're still making a profit. All right. So if your table is too big and too overwhelming for people, they're going to view it as a garage sale. So you don't want that. You want them to understand that these are one-of-a-kind type things. All right. One thing you can do, and that I used to do, is I would put out some of everything, and if I had a whole bunch, I would put them under the table in a tub. And if I see that those things are selling out, then I would take those and add more to the stack or to the display, but not putting everything out in these great big piles. It's just too overwhelming, too much to look at, especially if you're not the only crochet table at that craft sale. All right. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that's very important. And that is to make sure every item has a price tag. Because people will see your things and they'll look at, like, say, a few different items and they're like, I don't see a price tag. And they'll move on by. We don't want that. Everything needs to have a price tag on it. And I know that sometimes we put up these tags that say, everything on this table, $5. Well, that's okay, but you still want everything to have a tag, because if someone picked up something over here that's $10 and they looked at it and changed their mind and set it over here on the $5 table, that's going to cause an issue. If they pick it up and it says $10, they can say, is this supposed to be $10? Oh no, that got set on the wrong spot. And so the tag is on it and there's no problem. The other thing that I found is people are not going to ask you if everything's not tagged. Most of the time they're going to look, they're going to say, oh, that's beautiful, or I love that. And they'll pick it up, they'll look at it, and they're like, and they'll set it down. They're not going to ask. In a big crowd of people, they're just not going to ask. And you don't want them to do that. You want them to look at what you made and know the price of it and be willing to pay that price. All right. I'm not going to talk to you about pricing your things. I did another video about that a few years ago. And so I'm not, because the reason is everything is different in every community, and everybody has different prices. And I've had people tell me that my thoughts on this are wrong, and that's okay. But what you need to do is check around, see what other people are doing in your area, and price things accordingly. Just make sure you're not cheating yourself. You do need to, when you're calculating what you're going to do, take in the price of the materials as well as your labor. All right. Okay. Now, something that I was asked are other things that sell well at craft sales, and I've got just a short list here. All right. Some of the things that have sold really well for me in the past, last couple of years before, because I haven't done this in a couple of years, were washcloth in sets and coasters in sets. In other words, you take two washcloths, you wrap a band around it really nicely, and you sell them together. Or you take a set of 4 coasters and you put a piece of yarn through them and tag them together in sets. Those sell really, really well. And when I tried to sell them individually, they didn't sell as well. When you sell them in sets, they seem to do really well. Another thing that sold really well are the cotton grocery bags. And those things sold like crazy. People love those. And I love all kinds, but they especially like the ones that were like net, that had holes through them. Okay. Another thing, like I said earlier with the school stuff, was the water bottle cozies. People love those. They like to take them with them on walks, to the dog park and things like that. And nowadays, people are using more often reusable water bottles instead of buying plastic bottles. And so that's why those are a really good thing. Another thing that sort of surprised me, I did a few of these just for fun, and people loved them. And that's the reusable lunch bag. And they're just a small bag, you know, that people can put their things in, and they liked them because they can take their lunch in them, and they can also wash them, make them out of cotton or acrylic. Both of them sold really well, and that's the reusable lunch bags. And then the other thing were small bags and small backpacks. A lot of the kids really like these, and again, you can make these in school colors. I know I keep saying that, but those were some of the best sellers for me. And then the last thing was the messy bun hats and the ponytail hats. The kids love these, especially those that are involved in sports. And the guys like these also as much as the girls, because they like getting their hair out of that hole in the top and getting it out of their face. And I made a bunch of these in school colors. I striped them around, I striped them up and down, all different ways, and both styles they really, really liked. And that's another thing that you can make. And the only other thing I wanted to tell you is most of the things that did not sell were the character hats, which I was totally surprised by. And the other thing were hats that had big flowers or bows or lots of frilly stuff on them. Those things just did not sell for me. Now, they might sell well for you, so you have to see what sells best in your area. All right, and so I just wanted to give you a few tips and tricks of things that worked for me when I was doing craft sales. But like I always say, this is just my opinion, and it might be different for you. All right? All righty, so now I did want to tell you about one yarn that I found before we go any farther, and this is called the Premier Puzzle Yarn. And it's a chunky number 5. And I do have a pattern coming out with this next week. It is soft. And the neat thing about this that I found is although it's super soft, and a little bit fuzzy, it holds its shape really well. And so this one particular skein has 7 ounces on it. It is acrylic. It's a bulky number 5. And this color is called, I've got this upside down for me. Let me see here. The color is called acoustic. Or, wait, I looked at that wrong. Acrostic. To me, it says winter. Because it's blues and whites and beiges. All right, so be looking for a pattern for this coming out soon. All right, now, we did do 3 new crochet patterns this week. One of them was a remake and the other 2 were new. And this is the Soft Chains cowl that we did. It's really easy. The pattern's out there, the video's out there. And the neat thing about this pattern is you can use any yarn and any crochet hook. All right? And it just use the crochet hook that the pattern recommends. The only thing you'll have to do is measure as you go. Because if you use a bigger or thicker yarn, you're going to, and a thicker needle or crochet hook, not needle, you're going to have bigger stitches. And the same thing if you use smaller. And the pattern is super cool because you can make it as big around as you want, and you can make it as long as you want. So it's one of those patterns that's super duper versatile. If you make it according to the pattern that's written, you'll get the 24-inch around by 9 inches long. But a lot of people like them longer, and so that this type of pattern gives you the opportunity to make it longer, to make it taller, to make it thicker, or to make it thinner. And that's one of the things I love about this super versatile pattern. And as far as the tie on the front, you can make it a whole lot longer too if you want to. This is called the Soft Chains Cowl. The crochet pattern is on my blog and the video is on my YouTube. And you can always find my patterns on Ravelry and on my blog. All right, the other thing we did this week was the children's bobble hat. And I went ahead and used my Llama Little Toppers kit. And I wanted to make sure that there was enough yarn in the kit so that you could make any one of the hats. This is the largest child size. And by the way, I have a small head. This fits my head. And there's plenty of yarn. I had quite a bit left over, and I did the largest of the 3 child sizes. All right, so here is the 3 sizes. You have an infant, you have a toddler, and you have a child size. And I don't have the sizes. I think it's the infant's is about 11 and 12. The child's is maybe, I think it's 13, 14 inches, and the toddler, and the child's goes up to 16 inches. So there's 3 sizes there. You have 2 or 3 kids in different sizes. You can use pom-poms, and you can see they're bobble stitches. Or you can use your little topper or top this kits and have plenty of yarn to make the bobble children's hat. All right, so the pattern is on my blog and the video is on my YouTube. All right, now the other thing we did was yesterday, I did a video for just a quick little acorn. This acorn is about 8 by 8 inches. It's perfect for a washcloth. It's perfect to do the dishes. It's perfect for decoration. It's also great to use as a hot pad if you make it in cotton. And another thing is, if you like a super thick hot pad, you can make 2, put them together, and just single crochet around. That's our hot pad. This one's done in acrylic. This one's done in cotton. And I love these. I'm going to use this one as a hot pad because it's in cotton, and this one as a decoration. And so again, that video is on my YouTube and the pattern is on my blog. And so that's 3 new patterns that we did this week. I've got a lot of really fun stuff coming. And again, I'm extremely disappointed that my green screen stopped working right before I was getting ready to do our live video. I was so excited, but we'll try to do it next week. You know, dealing with technical difficulties, you just never know what's going to happen. So my husband, he's my technical guy, and he's going to come home, you know, this afternoon, and we'll figure out what happened and what's going on. It's probably a super duper easy fix. So anyway, the last thing I want to tell you about before I skedoodle. Hang on 2 seconds. I dropped it on the ground. Got it. I want to remind you about our giveaway. This is, guess I'm having a few technical difficulties myself. This is our giveaway for September. 3 crochet hooks. I can't remember. Let's see. I think they're GH&I. Yep. They're called luxury hooks. And then you're also going to get this sparkly keychain. And I have this one, and it's on one of my project bags. And I absolutely love it because I like bling. So, all you have to do to be entered into that giveaway is to comment on last week's Facebook live video or last Tuesday's YouTube live video. And you're automatically entered just by commenting. And next Tuesday, on the 17th, I believe it's the 17th, I will say, I will put your name, all the names in the random generator, and then we will pick a winner. And hopefully we can do that on the green screen. Alrighty, for those of you who came in late, let's have a double clink, clink, clink. And I'm going to let you go. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Keep crafting, keep crocheting, and remember, I can't do what I do without you. Have a great week, everyone.